The second part of this that I wanted to talk about was the actual governance of that. So a lot of organizations, they roll out an account planning process, but they really struggle with a cadence for review. So how often do these things get discussed? Where do they get discussed? And what do we do about it? Having a kind of an integrated cadence, you think about pipeline management, MBRs, Qubit. There's a lot of stuff going on generally across the organization, but account plans have to be fitted in there somehow, right? I'll kind of give you some examples of how some organizations do that, but having a cadence around weekly discussion around the activities that we're driving within the key accounts that we're targeting, whether or not certain strategies are working, bringing in other stakeholders within the organization who have a role to play in engaging with accounts that we're interested in. And then, looking at a monthly or a quarterly basis on what are these programs and tactics delivering in terms of output, in terms of pipeline, in terms of conversion, and so on. So I'll kind of give you some examples around that. So as a result, it's not surprising, to the point you were making, that a lot of the account plans traditionally can go stale very quickly, right? Because they're heavily reliant on the rep to fill in everything about the account, right? So there's not an augmentation of what the seller knows with what's, collection of data, like the engagements that are going on. Like, do we really need to be reliant on individual sellers to collect all those engagements? Most of that stuff can be automated now, right? And a lot of these platforms do that. So they give you a kind of an additional picture to the one that you're hearing from the rep, which, let's face it, is always biased, right? And there's always a risk that the seller tells you what you want to know rather than what's actually happening, right? So the fact that you have this kind of collective approach to a kind of team selling approach, that makes it a lot easier to try and drive this thing forward, right? And so, one of the things that we also see in talking with a lot of clients is that there's not a lot of cross-functional input. So it is something that sits within the sales organization and not something that maybe the customer success organization, the marketing organization have heavy involvement. Now, that varies, obviously, right, depending on the level of integration and alignment across those organizations. And, I think that's improving in a lot of organizations. But it is still personality dependent in a lot of organizations that I talk to, right? When I say personality dependent, I mean at the leadership level, right? There's sometimes as well a lack of accountability in terms of how we set up these programs, how we measure them, both in terms of at the program level, right? What are we looking to achieve with this? How are we going to measure this thing month on month, quarter on quarter? How are we going to prove our business case to executive leadership and to frontline, but also accountability at frontline, right? What are we expecting from reps to do, and how do we follow up on that in terms of frontline one-to-ones? One thing I don't have on here, which kind of seems obvious, is a lot of people don't consider the customer when they talk about account plans, right? Yeah. they don't actually have a discussion with customers about the account plan, right? It's purely an internal document. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting that every element of the account plan gets shared with the customer, but there are key elements within an account plan that you definitely have to have conversations with customers. Yeah, and I think a lot of sales organizations struggle with this idea of customer value, right? Because there's a sense that value is something that you deliver to the customer, but really it's something they create, right? It's co-created. It's not something that you can just say, here you go, here's some value. You have to really understand what drives results in their business, how they perceive the services, the processes that they work through with you. So that process of value creation has to happen collectively. It doesn't happen just from your side. Yeah. And we talked about misalignment with compensation. Some of the things that we've seen organizations do, and I'll share an example of it, but integrating those account reviews into the broader management cadence. Having a structured cadence is a really important thing. A lot of organizations still fly by the seat of their pants on some of this stuff, right? and it's really difficult. It's challenging to maintain a management cadence, but you have to have some level of structure. It's getting easier to do it. The tools are making it a lot easier to do some of this stuff, right? Obviously, we want to try and get the burden down for reps, right? Making it easier for them to maintain account plans, to be able to share account plans within their team, with other stakeholders, making it more of a team sport, not just within the sales teams, but across the other parts of the organization.